This week on Transtastic, we are talking about names. Hey everybody, what's up? This is an interesting topic. Basically, for me, the hardest thing about picking a name or really renaming myself was making it mine. Only quite recently have I really identified with my name, and I've been going by it for about 2 years. About a little over 2 years. Wow. What? Wow. So making it my own was actually the hardest part for me. So I guess I'll just start at the beginning. When I was coming out as trans, I was not thinking too seriously about names at that point. I just kind of wanted to feel out the pronouns to see if that was what was right for me. I was trying to choose between a few names. The first name I chose or tried out kind of was Russ. So my friends called me Russ. My close group of friends called me actually Rusty. They just took that upon themselves, which that was cool. I didn't really mind. As long as it wasn't a female name, I didn't really care what they were calling me. And then my girlfriend at the time was calling me Russ, and for whatever reason, she and I went to graduation together and at our school, and she was calling me through the crowd, and I just had this really violent reaction to the name, and I just was I just turned around and was like, "Don't call me that." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, please don't call me that. For whatever reason, I just suddenly hated that name so much, and it just wasn't right for me. And then after that, I started going by Riley. If you haven't figured it out yet, my birth name starts with an R. So, I started going by Riley because my therapist recommended that maybe instead of starting with a really masculine name, I'd start with a more gender-neutral name, which I think was actually helpful for me. I knew that Riley wasn't going to be my name, but it was a nice temporary solution, and it was pretty androgynous so that I didn't have to... I knew that I wasn't committing to it, but I knew that I wasn't being called a girl's name. So that was pretty cool. And the reason that I wanted to keep my initials was because when I was born, my parents gave me the same initials as my mom. So I just wanted to keep that. My parents, when I started involving them in it, they wanted me to go by Ray, which is a shortened version of my birth name. But they didn't want it to be like Raymond or... well, I guess that's the only thing that Ray could be short for. They wanted it to be just Ray, and they wanted it to be R-A-E. First of all, I had a huge problem with this because I don't really like the name Ray. Second of all, they were trying to feminize it, and they were trying to not make it like a shorter version of a masculine name, but a shorter version of my female birth name. So I had a huge problem with that. I found it to be very offensive, and I immediately rejected the idea. And I instead asked them what they would have named me if I was a boy. And I am adopted, so they actually knew what my sex was before they adopted me. So they weren't really planning for another sex. They were planning for a girl, so they only had one name picked out. So that didn't really help me at all, so they were kind of out of the planning process. I didn't really consult them at all. Mostly because of that Ray incident, and also because they decided that any name that I picked, they would never call me anyway. This was mostly my mom, actually, who actually said that to me. Every name I picked, she was like, "I'll never call you that, I'll never see you as that, blah, blah, blah." I mean, she was having the same struggle with pronouns, too, but, I already picked my pronouns. I had to pick a name now. So then, I was looking at R names, because I was like, okay, I want to keep my same initials, and I knew people named Reed. I actually dated someone named Reed in high school, which is kind of weird. I still wanted my name to be unique in true trans guy fashion. I was looking at R names. I liked the name Ryan, but it didn't really wow me that much. Ryan's a pretty common name. And let's see, what else? I don't know, I mean, I wasn't really considering much else. So it kind of was like, not like a last resort, but it was just there, and it fit the criteria that I was looking for. So I just was like, okay, let's do it. My middle name, I actually did have a unisex middle name, or androgynous, whatever you want to call it. My middle name was Linley, L-I-N-L-E-Y. It was actually my dad's uncle's first name. So it was the first name of a man in my family, but I just associated it with my birth name. When I heard it, I thought of my birth name in front of it, because it was my middle name, and I just wanted something new and fresh, and I still wanted it to start with an L, so I picked Levi. That's that. So now my name is Reed Levi, so that's cool. I wish that I had taken more time at choosing a name. I felt very rushed and very pressured to choose a name, because as soon as you come out, one of people's immediate questions is, well, what do you want me to call you now? And when you don't have an answer for them, they don't take you so seriously, you know? It's a better thing to say, hey, I know that this is nuts, but I'm a transsexual and I want you to call me X, versus, hey, I know this sounds really crazy, but I'm a transsexual. Can you just avoid using a name for the next 6 months while I pick one? Because I don't really have one yet. So that kind of, to me, there was just this, like, pressure in my head from people around me to kind of pick a name, especially because I knew that I wanted to go back to school in the fall as that person. So yeah, there was a pressure there. I've always liked the name Seth. I've always thought that if I felt less pressure to keep my initials, and I felt less pressure to pick a name, I could have gone with the name Seth, and I could have been very Jewish with the name Seth Levi. I also, my dad is Gordon William, last name, Jr., and his father obviously was Senior, and I was thinking I should have, you know, my dad goes by Bill, his middle name is William. I really missed an opportunity there. I could have gone by Will, I could have, you know, there could have been a lot that I could have done with that, and I could have been the third. So that sucks that didn't happen for me. My advice would just be, don't feel pressured to pick a name. You're the only one who is doing this. It's all about you, so you do it in your time, you make your own timeline. Don't listen to other people and feel pressure by them, because it's not fair to you. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next week.